The battlefield was ugly. Choking smoke, half-melted armor, and the smell of cooked meat no one wanted to admit was organic. Darren wasn't even supposed to be here. He was a drop-in support marine, not frontline cannon bait. But then Command decided the crater was important, and now it was painted in every color of blood known to xenobiology. He was limping toward extraction when he heard the sound, wet, ragged, defiant. A growl. Low and pissed. He found her half buried in rubble, one leg gone at the hip, the other dangling by tendon and spite. Commander Varka. The beast of Goric fields. Famous for snapping exocets with her thighs and using enemy heads as grenades. She was a legend. Now she was grounded, gasping, and glaring at him like he owed her something. Maybe he did. He should have kept walking. Everyone else had. Her own soldiers left her for dead, declaring her unworthy of preservation, once her legs were gone. But Darren, idiot that he was, didn't know how to walk away from a woman still growling through shredded lungs. He crouched. She bared her teeth. Don't. I'm not here to fight. Then leave. You'd like that, he muttered. Die pretty in the mud. Go out dramatic. She narrowed her eyes. You mock me? Lady, I saw you break a tank open like a crab. I'm mocking myself for standing this close. She coughed blood. Didn't stop staring. Something in her expression wasn't just rage. It was insult. As if being left here was more offensive than fatal. He sighed. Looked around. No medics. No transport. No time. Well, he muttered, I always did have a soft spot for bossy women with homicide issues. He scooped her up. She was heavier than expected. All muscle, no apology. She didn't scream, didn't struggle. She just hissed low enough that he felt it in his chest cavity. You dare? Yeah, I know, I'm touching royalty or something. This is sacred. Right now it's messy. He adjusted her weight over his shoulder. Her breath hit his neck. Hot. Furious. Her claws grazed his back. You're violating a code. I'm violating my spine. You're welcome. She didn't reply. Just settled in, grudging and confused. Her head rested against his armor, and for a second, he thought she might pass out. Then she whispered, You'll regret this. He smirked. Story of my dating life. He carried her through the ash-blasted ridges, tripping once when she shifted her hips, deliberately, he suspected. She may have lost her legs, but not her control. The silence stretched, broken only by her occasional growl or his sarcastic commentary. Just saying, if you bite, I drop you. I don't waste bites. Cute. Remind me not to introduce you to my mother. You have a mother? Not anymore. She saw my ex. That earned him a strange sound. Not a laugh, but close. A soft exhale with the edge of derision. For someone half dead, she was stubbornly composed. No begging. No thanks. Just fury held together by scar tissue. After 20 minutes, she spoke again. You could have left. I know. Why didn't you? He didn't answer right away. Thought about it. Because I saw how you fought. That kind of power doesn't just vanish because your legs do. She blinked. You admire strength? I admire survivors. Especially the angry ones. She turned her head. And yet you carry me. I've got a hero complex. Comes with the haircut. Touch me again, and it'll come with a funeral. He smirked again. Didn't realize being helpful was so intimate. Among my kind, she said slowly. It is. He stopped. Wait. Seriously? A warrior does not permit touch during weakness unless she accepts the bearer. As what, a medic? As mate adjacent. He stared at her. I don't even know what that means. It means you carry me, you court me. He blinked. You're kidding. Her eyes said otherwise. He kept walking. Well, if this ends with me in an alien marriage ceremony, I'm suing Command. You assume I'd accept. You assume I'm offering. She smiled, not nice. You already did. The moment you touched me. You're really making me regret my charity. No. You regret it because I'm still alive. And that means now you matter. He snorted. That's the most romantic thing a half-dismembered murder queen has ever said to me. She relaxed slightly, enough to let her weight rest heavier on his shoulder. Trust or fatigue, he couldn't tell. But something had shifted. Not love. Not yet. But the acknowledgement that she was still dangerous, and now he was part of the reason why. He didn't like what that implied. He liked how it felt even less. They reached the ridge line, and she hadn't stopped judging his gait since mile 1. Her claws occasionally tapped against his chest plate like an impatient metronome. You walk like a hatchling, she muttered. Wobbly. Unbalanced. Trying too hard not to look weak. Forgive me, he said, breath sharp. Not used to hauling apex predators with ego problems. You call this hauling? I call this relationship cardio. You weigh more than a gunship panel. I'm dense with value. You're dense with pride. She smirked, pressing her cheek lazily against his back. You talk like we're bonded already. We're not. You're wrong. He nearly tripped. Excuse me? You didn't flinch when I bled on you. That's a sign. Of what? Blood tolerance? Of claim acceptance. I didn't accept anything. I was being decent. Then you failed, she said, voice low. Because your scent says otherwise. My what? Your smell. It changed the moment you touched me with purpose. I touched you with medical panic. And heat, she purred. You trembled. I slipped. You looked down. I was checking for, never mind. He kept walking. She kept grinning. This is ridiculous, he muttered. You've never had a female court you before? Not one that called being carried foreplay. In my culture, if a male touches a warrior during vulnerability, it means he chooses to bear her burdens. Permanently. He paused mid-step. So what? I'm your leg husband now. She tilted her head thoughtfully. Not officially. You haven't been presented to my war mothers. That sounds horrifying. They test your reflexes. I already flinched twice today. Do I pass? You're flinchy in the right ways. He didn't ask what that meant. He already regretted 90% of this conversation. The other 10% was trying not to acknowledge how her tone kept dipping into something that made his spine hum. He adjusted his grip and her chest brushed the back of his neck. She noticed. So tender, she whispered. You cradle me like I'm fragile. You lost your legs, not your jaw. Trust me, I'd be gentler if that part was gone. Her laugh was a low rumble. Not mocking. Almost flattered. Your sarcasm is strange. I like it. I like my personal space. Which I no longer have. Do you miss it? He opened his mouth, then shut it. She grinned wider. Humans are odd, she said, almost to herself. You speak fear, but smell curiosity. I'm carrying a half-nude, half-conscious alien general through a battlefield. Curiosity's cheaper than therapy. I will grant you this, she said slowly, voice curling. You did not drop me during the tremor. That is impressive. Most males fumble under stress. I've carried drunk squad mates with less attitude. Did they nuzzle your back when aroused? His boots skidded on gravel. You're aroused? I am not dead. You smell warm. I'm sweaty. You smell like challenge. Lady, I smell like trauma. She snorted. Challenge, trauma, it's all foreplay on my planet. His heart thumped. Her breath ghosted over his ear. For someone legless, she had a hell of a grip with those arms. And she wasn't shy about letting her thighs, what was left of them, ride the sides of his waist with full possessive tension. He regretted asking, but asked anyway. So what happens if I don't know, carry you over a ridge and gently lower you down? You assume that's not an invitation. I assume nothing. That's the only way I'm surviving this. You're not surviving, she said flatly. You're being selected. He stopped again. Selected for what? Bonding. Reforging. Co-survival. I don't even know what that is. You'll find out if you make it to the evac site without disappointing me. No pressure. All pressure, she whispered, and for the first time, he realized the heat from her wasn't just body temperature, it was focused. I thought warriors like you didn't bond. We do. We just don't admit it unless someone survives the entire mating ritual. This is a ritual? You're carrying me over fire scars. That's phase 3. What were phase 1 and 2? Looking at me while I was bleeding. Then touching without being asked? Great, he muttered. I speedran my way into alien engagement. Don't worry, she purred. You'll enjoy the ceremony. He felt her lips brush his collar. Not a kiss. A mark. Stop marking me. Too late. You smell claimed. He growled. She laughed. And together, limping, panting, and emotionally confused, they crossed into the next stretch of hell. He was no longer sure who was carrying who. They made it to the extraction point just as the sun, or whatever passed for a sun on this molten nightmare, started bleeding through the clouds. Darren dropped to one knee, panting, chest heaving, with her draped over him like a particularly smug war trophy. She wasn't bleeding anymore. She wasn't even tired. She was watching. Calculating. Like a predator deciding if the prey she caught was worth nesting with. A low rumble echoed across the ridge. Not gunfire. Drums. Then came the entourage. 8 of her kind emerged from the rocks. Bigger than him. Horned. Glowing tribal armor. They looked ready to butcher gods, and one of them was carrying a flag made of bones that, by the way it was shaking, probably meant marriage or murder. Darren wasn't sure which was worse. Ah, she said, voice satisfied. My kin. Fantastic, he muttered. Do they know you've been escorted? They know. How? Your scent carries. He barely had time to form a snarky reply before the lead warrior stepped forward and growled something primal. Varka replied with her usual calm snarl. The other female's eyes locked on Darren. Then she spoke broken standard. He carries her. Upright. Across blood-soaked soil. He mounts? I carried her to safety. Darren snapped. Carried. Not mounted. Carried. Another warrior sniffed the air. He reeks of claim. Her blood is on him. His scent is beneath hers. That's mud. And sweat. And trauma. The eldest in the group stepped forward, staring Darren down. You perform half of sacred rite. Will you finish? Finish what? The joining. He turned to Varka. Tell me they're joking. She bared her teeth. Not joking. But open to interpretation. You could have warned me. You pathed forward without caution. That is considered enthusiastic consent. I didn't path. I just tripped over a rock and held you tighter. Which they took as phase 4. How many damn phases are there? Depends on how dominant you appear. The others began to chant. The word didn't translate clearly, but Darren caught parts. Asterisk soft blood. Mounted. Chosen. Mate-worthy. Asterisk. Varka leaned closer. You're officially under consideration. I didn't sign up for interstellar dating games. Yet you passed the trial. What trial? You didn't drop me. That was the trial? No. That was the preamble. Trial is now. The warriors began encircling them. The female who'd spoken first stepped forward, ripped off her gauntlet, and slapped it against Darren's chest. Challenge. Pick her, Varka murmured. She's all bark. What happens if I lose? You're still mine. Just dented. He stepped forward. No offense, warrior princess, but I've had a long week. I'm covered in blood that might not all be mine, and the last person who touched me without consent is now my accidental fiancé. So unless you're here to carry me next, get in line. The challenger blinked. Then nodded. Then stepped back. Varka was purring now. Loudly. Visibly. You refuse challenge. They interpret that as alpha behavior. Oh, of course they do. They believe you've already claimed dominance. Publicly. I was trying to avoid getting murdered. Same thing, she said, satisfied. The others bowed. Darren stood still, dead inside. One of them handed Varka a ceremonial wrap, deep red, bone-trimmed. She didn't wear it. She draped it around Darren. What's this? Mate shroud. I'm wearing the mating blanket now. Not officially. You must agree. I don't agree. You carried me. That wasn't a proposal. In their language, it was louder than one. He froze. Then groaned. This is insane. It's custom. It's a trap. It's bonding, she corrected. And if I say no? She leaned in. You'll insult me. And then I'll have to prove you're still mine. Viciously. He looked down at her. All fangs, scars, half a body, and for reasons he didn't want to admit, devastatingly magnetic. He sighed. I'm not saying yes. You didn't say no. Maybe I'm just concussed. Then your instincts are finally useful. They waited there, silent, until the ship's searchlights broke over the horizon. Evac's coming, he muttered. Yes. You gonna let go now? No. I figured. She leaned her head against him again. Your heartbeat, still quick. I'm under cultural attack. You're under selection. Don't push it. I already did. You didn't break. He glanced down at her. So what now? Now they know. Know what? That you touched the general. And? That the general didn't let go. He didn't sleep the whole flight back. Not that anyone expected him to. The medics gave him the usual once-over, no internal bleeding, minor lacerations, psychological contamination labeled pending. They avoided eye contact when they saw what was curled on the bunk beside him. Varka didn't say a word the entire ride. She didn't need to. Her presence was statement enough. This one carried me. This one matters. She wouldn't take sedatives. Wouldn't let them replace her legs. Not until she could forge the replacements herself, with her own claws and molten alloy. Pride, she claimed. Control. Maybe. Or maybe she just liked the way it made people uncomfortable when a legless alien general rode through a military ship like a queen on a war litter, carried by the same stubborn human who should have walked away. By the third day, the stares became a background hum. The jokes less whispered. Is she your girlfriend or your war crime? You carrying her because she's light or because she's heavy in the right places? Bet she still squeezes with what's left. He didn't answer. Not because he couldn't. Because she was always listening. She caught one of the lieutenants glancing too long. Her growl dropped the room into silence. Darren just sighed. You can't kill everyone who looks at me. I can try. You're not my bodyguard. I'm your mate. You can't keep saying that. You can't keep pretending it's not true. He sat beside her that night, watching her sharpen the hooks that would eventually fit her new prosthetics. Everything about her was blade, muscle, and raw intent. But now, without legs, she moved like gravity was optional, as if the parts she lost had simply condensed her fury into something more efficient. You really believe this? He asked. She didn't look up. Believe what? That we're bonded. Fated. Whatever. I don't deal in belief. You carried me. You survived me. I didn't kill you. That last one's really doing the heavy lifting. She set the blade down. You carried my weight. And not just my body. Don't go poetic on me. It's not poetry, she said flatly. It's biology. Emotional imprint. Neuroresonance. You're in my scent memory now. That doesn't fade. He stared at her. So what? This is permanent. You're just gonna guard me forever? If that's what you need. He rubbed his face. What if I want space? What if I want something normal? You had normal. Did it keep you alive? That's not fair. It's honest. He didn't reply. She shifted, crawling closer, dragging herself without shame. She stopped when her face was near his knee. You could have left me. I would have understood. You didn't. I didn't expect to get propositioned with murder marriage either. You've adjusted. Barely. She touched his hand. Just her claw tips. Careful. Calculated. You don't have to want this, she said. You only have to stop pretending you don't. He looked at her. No legs. No safety. No filter. Just something brutal, brilliant, and terrifyingly sincere. And then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't practiced. He wasn't even sure who initiated it. 1 second they were staring. The next, her claws were in his hair, his hands were gripping her waist, and the entire bunk groaned in protest. She bit his lip. He didn't stop. She moaned like a predator caught between hunger and instinct. There was no soft music. No romantic lighting. Just two violent, tired creatures colliding like they had something to prove. He woke up wrapped in her arms, one of her prosthetic blueprints crushed under his back. She was snoring softly, one fang barely exposed. He didn't move. Eventually, she opened her eyes. No words. Just a look. One that said, "Mine? I'm not a trophy," he said. "No," she whispered. "You're the one who stayed." They didn't talk much after that. They didn't have to. Command offered him reassignment. He declined. They offered therapy. He laughed. Varka began training again, on wheels at first, then on spikes. He watched her from the platform once, as she tackled a dummy with mechanical arms and ferro precision. "You know," he muttered, "you could let someone else carry the weight once in a while." She grinned up at him. "I already do." He looked down. Then realized she wasn't talking about herself. Later, as they shared rations in silence, she leaned against him. "Still think this was accidental? I think I patted the wrong alien. Or the right one." He didn't argue. Because sometimes, you don't choose who you carry. Sometimes, they carry you right back, even without legs.